Good morning. How are you all today? I hope everybody is great. I am fine. I thought I would just sit and get to the end of this shawl today and have a little chat because it feels like I've been knitting on this forever and it has been quite it takes a long time to make this design. It's the second one I've made, and you may know it. It's this gorgeous pattern. I mean, look at that. Look at this wonderful woven basket effect stitch. And this is the Tiny Birds Shawl. It's in fact the second one that I've made. The first one is already gone to a new home, and I decided to make this one bigger. And today is the day that it just has to get finished because I know I've been busy doing lots of other things, lots and lots since I started this. But I just kind of get to a point where it's enough now. Let's just get this done and get on with the rest of the things that need to get done. So that's what I'm doing. I've actually got 2 rows of garter to knit to get to the end of this, and then I'm going to bind off, which is such a delight because apart from that basket weave section that I showed you, the second half of it is another gorgeous stitch. It's lace, a bit hard to show because I'm in the middle of the row, but it's this incredibly lacy, stretchy, and this is apparently where the little birds actually are. These little triangles of color in between this gorgeous stretchy lace, which is really going to block open like that, which is really pretty. But it takes time. It takes time to get done, and it's not really a pattern that comes very easily. You can listen to an audiobook or have a chatty conversation with somebody, but you do need to look at the work all the time. Oops, and there are lots of blips and bloops going on all my different bits of equipment. I'm going to put my phone onto silent. Sorry about that. It's a bit of a pain. I think I look like a bit of a mess today, but I just decided to talk to you guys while I get this shawl done, and then I can move on to finishing a couple of other shawls that are on my needles. But I want to block this, and I want to see it, and I want to have it. So I was going to just carry on and on and on until I finished all the yarn, but a couple of times I've almost stopped, and today is the day that I have stopped. I'm not going to continue anymore because it's just not giving me that much joy. And I have other things that I do really need to get done. This is how much I've got left of the one ball, which is what I've knitted the second section out of. And this is the main color, the multicolor. Beautiful skein. These are both from Big Fox. And actually these are the 2 colors that I gave away probably about 5 weeks ago now. I had a giveaway, and I gave away a skein of each of these lovely Big Fox 75% merino and 25% nylon sock wool. And I then decided to make another one of these shawls because I ordered some for myself as well. The first one I made was also made with Big Fox, but it was a totally different color. And yes, this one now is time to get done with it. So I'll have those 2 scraps of probably maybe 20 grams of each, which I can add into one of the many scrappy projects that I like to make, scrappy shawls. It definitely won't go to waste. But this is now time to get it done. So that's what I'm quietly sitting here doing. I have been having an absolutely fabulous time dyeing yarn, which is something that I do periodically, but I have had the need to dye up a few kilos of wool. And I had to order more dyes, and so I've been sort of on a daily basis dyeing up between 3 and 5 skeins of wool, just mixing up my colors and deciding on the spur of the moment what techniques to use, a bit of variegated, a bit of semi-solid, quite a lot of speckling and a mixture of all of the above. I've dyed up some colors that I don't normally dye. I've dyed up like a charcoal grey, which actually I really love. And that's probably because the wool base that I'm using is absolutely beautiful. It's a new base. I haven't dyed it before, and I've already knitted a shawl out of the green colorway that I dyed, just to have a sample and see how it knits up. So it's a merino and mohair base in a fingering. It's a singles, and the mohair percentage is very high. It's 44% mohair. So it's just the same. It feels this. It's soft and silky and quite slippery on the needles. So I think I did say before, it's best to use wooden needles because it's very slippery, but it's so gorgeous and silky. And yes, it's 44% merino, and the other 56% is it's 44% mohair and 56% merino. Sorry, just a little bit confused this morning. And I love it. I totally love it. I normally would use mohair held together with a lace weight, but this just eliminates having to do that, which for me is a great saving, not having to buy 2 different types of yarn and to hold them together. And also when you hold mohair together with another yarn, you have to take a little bit of extra care because it's quite easy to miss picking up the mohair, and you get a few rows down and you see, oh no, I've left the mohair behind on that stitch and there's a loop and you're going to pick it up. So I think it's my new favorite, and I'm dyeing up all sorts of colors. Today I dyed up a gorgeous yellow, golden yellow base with lots of speckles on it, and it has turned out absolutely wonderful. It's still on the line drying, so I can't show it to you, but yeah, now that I'm finished the row, you can see what the second part of this shawl looks like. It's really magnificent, and I mean, I really love it, and I just want it. I've just had enough of it being on the needles. And then it's just a triangle, and it starts off actually with this basket weave, and then the main color, which is the multicolor, goes into this lovely, very squishy, loose, loopy lace which is just a lot of slip stitches and knitting 2 together and yarn over, knit 2 together, pass slip stitch over, lots of that. And it's gorgeous. It's very holey, and I think it's going to drape beautifully. So that's it. One row done, another one to go. And the next row I'm going to bind it off. Just trying to think, I kind of would like to do an I-cord bind off on this edge, but that will take a while, and I'm not into hanging around. I don't know if you ever get like this with any of your projects. You know, you can be happily knitting along, knitting along, knitting along, and I've been knitting this now probably for 5 weeks, but honestly I've done a lot of work in between. Okay, I've done the Stephen West MCAL, I've knitted the Lumpy Space, another Stephen West, I've done my sample shawl in the green. I've done quite a lot of stuff, but yes, this one now, it's turn to get done and get it off the needles. As I'm actually thinking right now of starting to knit a sweater, a lovely little sweater that I found the design of today. Can't think of the name of it right this minute, but yeah, I'm going to knit it. I don't knit a lot of sweaters. It's a bottom up with a drop sleeve, which is really not at all what I do when I do knit sweaters, but I just feel like something different. And it'll be just so soft and silky, and it's got sort of these twisted rib panels on the side and on the sleeves, and I think it might be something nice and light that I could make use of, at least on the first part of my journey in India, because in February when I go to India, we will be starting off in the north of India, and it's going to be quite cold. In fact, when we go up to the Himalayas, we'll only be there for 5 days on the tour, but it could be snowing there, so we'll need some layers. And so, you know, I can wrap up in shawls. I am going to take some shawls with me, but I thought that it would be lovely to have this gorgeous yellow speckly sweater to go with a gorgeous, lovely yellow mustard skirt that I recently purchased. So I'm kind of making things for myself, which is quite unusual and very enjoyable indeed. I see that everything I'm wearing today is very skew, but there we go. Let's try and straighten things out. I feel like a bit of a mess today, but yeah, that's fine. It is what it is, and I think that is one of the reasons why I decided to call my podcast The Shawl Knitter Unplugged. Unplugged meaning as it is. No fancy touch-ups and no editing, mainly because I don't know how to edit, and actually I really don't have the time or the inclination to spend hours and hours editing my videos. So it's as you see me as I am. Sometimes I'm in a bit of a mess, and that's life. It's real, you know. So yeah, today's one of those messy days, and we're just kind of knitting and chit-chatting. And oh, the other thing I also did, which was just quite fun, I've been dying to make this lovely cotton crocheted vest. Let me see if the pattern is nearby. Yes, I'll get it. I've showed it before. I've showed the pattern. It's by Honza Design. The lady's name is Moa, and I first saw her on Irina's Fiber Chats podcast. And she was talking, she's a crochet, she's a totally funky, amazing woman. And she crochets, and she calls it fake knitting because it looks knitted. Now, I'm not a crocheter. I like the idea of crocheting, and I do crochet from time to time, but I don't really like the look of crochet too much. So I was just fascinated by her description of this fake knitting style crochet. So I bought this pattern of this lovely little vest, which there it is, very sweet. And I guess, you know, to me this looks knitted and it just looks like fun. So I don't know if the pattern is called Honza. I think it must be called Honza because it doesn't have a name anywhere else. Yes, it's called Honza. No, it's not. It's called the Real FKN Dainty Top. So I think that stands for Fake Knitting Dainty Top. It's called the Real Fake Dainty Knitting Top. Fake Knitting Dainty Top, actually. So I started out making it because I was just so excited and I just wanted to get started with it. And I had a few balls of Drops alpaca sport weight left over from a sweater that I made. So I started it with that, and it was very soft and really lovely. But I enjoyed the process, and I basically crocheted my way through the first 50-gram ball. And then I decided two things. First of all, I measured it, and it was too small. It definitely was too small. And secondly, it's a very fluffy yarn. It's a pure alpaca. And I thought, you know, there's no point in making this cute little vest out of alpaca. And actually the pattern calls for cotton. So I ripped it back, and I'm repurposing that Drops alpaca into another lovely shawl, another new shawl that I'm busy working on. And I got some cotton samples from Nurturing Fibers. I bought some dyes from them, and they sent me some cotton samples, which was absolutely divine. So I'm in the process at the moment of swatching for this crochet top so that I can get a nice fabric. So this is the first swatch that I've just done, and I think it's really cute. I just always battle to work out which is the right side. I think that might be the right side. You crocheters are probably going to laugh your head off at me. But look at this beautiful pattern. It's so gorgeous. And this is out of Nurturing Fibers Eco Lush, which is quite fine. It's like a fingering weight, but it is done on a very loose gauge, this little vest. So I'm using a 4mm hook. I definitely would not be making it out of this colorway, but it's very cute nevertheless. So I'm knitting up a couple of samples, and then I will go to my local yarn shop, probably in the town of George, to a fabulous yarn store called I Love Yarn, because they keep this, and choose a nice color, and I'm going to make this little crochet top. I'm going to try and keep it for when I am actually traveling, which is at the end of January, and then I can crochet this on the plane with my little wooden crochet hook and not get into trouble for having needles. And also I don't like to have such a big garment when I'm flying. I always choose something small. But it's got a lovely, I washed it and blocked it last night. And I like this, I really do. I don't really make cotton garments, and I definitely don't make crocheted ones. So let me know what you think of this. Anyway, I'm turning it around and round because I'm not quite sure which way it should go. But it's so lovely and soft, and I think it's going to look absolutely gorgeous in that little vest. So that is one of the many things that I've been trying out. I'm in the mood for something new, you know, something different. I've knitted a lot of large shawls, and actually I'm also almost finished making the Slip Stravaganza, which was the Stephen West MCAL shawl from 2 years back. I've made a few since then, but I haven't ever kept one because I sell my work, and every time I've said, okay, this is mine, I wear it, somebody wants it, I get rid of it, and then I don't have one. So I will show you mine when it's done. I'm on the chevron border, which seems like I'm nearly at the end, but I'm over, like, I don't know, probably over 1,000 stitches. And then there's still the bind off, which is I-cord. So it could take me another week to get that done, but I'm also really looking forward to that. And that is going to be my one big shawl that I take with me to India. That will go with all my bright colors, and I'll wrap it around me, and I'll have to hold on tight so that nobody manages to get it away from me. So I'm nearly at the end of my second row, my last row in fact. I'm going to bind this off on the wrong side, just because that's how it's worked out. I'm not going to make another row of garter. I just wanted to kind of fix the edge of this lace, because I remember the last shawl that I made, the last Tiny Birds that I made, it sort of had a very wavy end. Once I had blocked it, I pinned it out even, and the edge of the lace was very loose, because it's a very open lace work. So I decided just to do 2 rows of garter, and then I'm going to do what I think is called the Icelandic bind off, which sounds very complicated, but maybe I can even just show you a couple of stitches of this bind off. It might even be called the Italian bind off. I don't really pay much attention to the names, but I don't know if you can see with this. By the way, I am about to purchase an absolutely gorgeous new iPhone with a brilliant camera, so I'm going to be able to do a lot more things than just sit in front of my laptop. So I don't know if you can see, but anyway, what you do is you knit the first stitch, and then you put it back onto the left-hand needle. Then you knit through the back of that stitch and the next stitch on the left-hand needle, slip it off, back onto the left-hand needle, and knit through the back of those 2 stitches. Back onto the left-hand needle, knit through the back of the 2 stitches, slip it off. Back onto the left-hand needle, knit through the back of the 2 stitches, slip it off. Back onto the left, and on and on. It's very quick, very nice, and it's quite stretchy. It gives a lovely edge. I'm going to show you once I've done a few more of these cast-offs, stitches, bind off, whatever you want to call it. I always knew it as a cast off, but then I think it's American to say a bind off. And then that's what you get. So that's the wrong side, and that's the right side. And I think it's pretty neat. So there we go. I'm going to have this off the needles, and next time you see me, I will have blocked it, and I will probably have it draped over my shoulders. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today while I finish knitting the shawl, which has given me so much satisfaction to share the end of it and to get to the end of it. And that's not because I don't like it. I absolutely love it. I want to see it. And so I'm going to see it pretty soon. Thanks for joining me. Please subscribe and follow me. And I have a Patreon account where you're going to see some wonderful things very soon. And I have a lot of giveaways that I will be giving away from my Patreon account. Yeah, it's very difficult trying to get a Patreon account going. People don't really understand what a patron is actually, and how important patrons were to creatives many years, hundreds of years. Famous artists, they all had patrons who supported their lifestyle so that they could do their creative work. So that is the idea behind Patreon, that if you like what I do and you want to see more of it, you can make it possible for me to give you more and to share more things with you, and by just making a small monthly donation. But yes, I have found that people don't really understand, and some people say, oh, well, I don't really watch videos, and that's not what it's about, it's about support. So if you'd like to support me, go and look at my Patreon account. It can cost you $3 a month, and you're going to have some fabulous takeaways from that. Virtual trips with me to India. If you ever decide to come to India, I will host you. I will give you great discounts on my tours and share really wonderful secrets and things that you would not experience by yourself. So you decide if you'd like to do that, if you'd like to support me. I would be so grateful. Thank you for coming today.